Alright, so in this one, we're going to go ahead and add the collision detection of the things here, right? So if you look what we got so far, looks like I moved the background. Oh, maybe I didn't. No, I did. That right. Hang on a second. Control Z. There we go. Alright. What is going on? These. Sorry, hang on a second. I don't know why these are even down here. Let's get rid of those. Alright. So yeah, so it should have something that looks a little bit like this. Alright, go side to side. That looks fine. Okay. And we got the cars going, but there's no detection between them. Alright. So this is actually going to be pretty complicated. So we could do it a couple of ways, but you're going to see that it doesn't work quite right. Unless we make it work right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have to add another event listener for enter frame. Okay, so, you know what? We could probably do it in here. Let me see. If floor random. Okay, so that's generating it. We could probably put it right in the obstacles loop, actually. Okay, so there's a couple different ways of going about doing this. So we could do a hit test object. So what you would do is we could do like player dot hit test. Please write text object, and then you would say obstacle. Okay. The problem is, and this won't work, is because this has to be like a specific thing, and if you look, we don't have like specific names for each one of these, so it's not going to work, unfortunately. So, so for instance, I'm just going to do if hit test obstacle, delete that. If that's true, then I'm just going to have it trace, and we're just going to say hit. I don't even know if this is actually going to work. Let's see. It might be like, no. Let's see if we get a compile error. Ah, see, they already ran into the problem. Must be non-null. So you can see right off the bat, it's saying there's nothing in there, so that doesn't really work. Dismiss all. So basically, it's going to run this error because I don't have, like, if I made, like, he's here, so like player works because he's actually, that's the specific name of this specific guy. But unfortunately, I don't have a way of having these specifically selected because I'm just generically making them, so they don't have instance names. But there is a way around this. It's just going to be a little more complicated. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make an array that we store all of our obstacles in as we make them, and that'll allow us to specifically like select each one. Okay, so at the top here, we're going to make a couple of variables. All right, so let me see. I did not have to make any variables yet. Okay. Actually, we just have to make. Okay, we're going to do variable obstacles underscore r. Okay, and it's going to be of the type an array. And we're going to set it equal to nothing currently. All right. So basically, what we're doing is we're making a variable. We're calling it obstacles r, and that's just so that I know what it is. And then the type is an array. All an array is a list. Okay. There's different kinds of arrays. This one's just going to be a general list of objects. All right. And that's how we're going to kind of keep track of them. Now, what I got to do is down here, wherever I'm making an obstacle, I have to add it to that list. Okay. That way I know, that way they're part of that list. So all I'm going to do is just do obstacles underscore r, that's the name of it. And then there's a couple of different, like you see there's one called pop. There's different ones that do things. If you do push, what that's going to do is it's going to obstacle. Boom. What it's going to do is it's going to add this object that's inside of these parentheses. So push, literally what it does is it's going to take whatever you put in here. In this case, it's our obstacle, and it's gonna add it to the end of this array. So the array is a list, right? Starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down till infinity, till whatever you need. What it's gonna do is it's gonna say whatever the last number is. So let's say this looped a couple times and I already have 3. It'll put this one in the push. We'll put it in spot number 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what push does. So what we're gonna do is I'm just going to take this and I'm just gonna copy it, Control C and Control V and Control V, and just to make this smaller, gonna take these brackets up here. Oops, not like that. There we go. All right, just to try and make it a little bit. Okay, so that's gonna add it to our list. I'm just gonna Control Enter and make sure that that's not broken. Okay, good, not throwing any errors. All right, that's just gonna add it to our list. Now what we're gonna do is we are going to basically add we'll just add it right onto this obstacles loop here. We're going to do a for loop, okay? So we're going to say for var, type is int, and it's going to start at 0, okay? And then I, while I is less than the obstacles underscore r dot the length of it, come on, length, and then increment it. Okay. And I will explain what that's going to do in a second. Okay, so we're saying for. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off, we're going to have a counter. Oops, var I, sorry. We're going to have a counter, var I, so it's just I is what we're calling it. It's just, I don't know why, it seems like I is always the one that they use. And I capitalized it here for some reason. Sorry, I'm making tons of mistakes here. Oops, that's not where I clicked. There we go. So we're going to start off, we're going to make a variable called I, and it's going to start off at 0, okay? And it's an int. Then we're going to say while I, which starts at 0, while it's less than the length of that obstacles array. So the length, this dot length, is the number that's in there. So if it's 0, it will not run at all. Or actually it'll run once, I guess, because, but let's say that I is, higher, then it will do more. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to look at the length of this object, of how many are in there, and it's going to run it that many times. So if I have 8 obstacles in this obstacle array, it's going to run it that many times. This just means that every time it runs through, it's going to add one. And so basically it'll keep running through them. So and this is on every frame. So every frame is going to test every object. And now we can actually do our thing here. We're going to do obstacles underscore r I dot hit test object, and we're going to test it against the player. Let me see that it completes that. Yep. And then we're going to do this, and we will, for now I'm just going to write trace, and I'm just going to say hit. Okay, so that way we'll know that it's working. Okay, and then I'm just going to write break, which will just tell it to leave that that loop or whatever. Actually, I don't think I need that. I don't know why I even. Okay, it'll say hit. So what's going to do is it's this part makes it run through. It'll run this for loop for each element, for each object that's inside of this array. Okay. Then inside of here, it's gonna say, okay, the first time it runs, it's gonna say obstacles array, right? And then when you put this in here, this I, the first time it runs through is gonna be 0. So it's gonna say in position 1. So the obstacles array, the one that's in the first position, I want you to test that against the player. And then if it hits, do whatever. Then when it wants to do the loop again, this would become, because it's going to increment each time, this int I that was 0 is going to become 1. And then when I'm down in here, this will be in position 1, then position 2, so on and so forth, however many times we have, okay? And I'm just going to Control Enter to test this. And we should, click over here. Well, if you look, Okay. Well, now I'm getting mowed over here, but I don't know if you could see. You can see that this is getting smaller because we're getting hits, but you can see it's hitting every time that we're running into it. It's hitting it. Okay, so you can see that it is indeed working. Yay!